Do, 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 do. Got a whale of a tale to tell you, lads. A whale of a tale or two about the flapping fish and the girls I've loved on nights like this with the moon above. A whale of a tale, and it's all true, I swear by my tattoo, which I don't have because my mother would kill me. So, how's everyone doing? Guess what we're talking about today, people? If you can't guess from the song I just sang, it's 20,000 Leagues Into the Sea. Let's just switch over there. Not that one, sorry. There we go. This lovely... Oh, this is my... I can't give away the magic. Anyway, we're talking about this movie, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Probably one of the... I don't want to say greatest Disney films of all time, because it's not. It's a really good film, and I think it's probably one of the first big successes for Disney. It was like Treasure Island, and then they kind of went on a downward trajectory with the other ones. Rob Roy, Sword in the Rose, and then whoosh, this one popped up again. It was very popular, commercial and financial success. However, I'm not sure how that's possible. And we'll discuss that later. We'll discuss that near the end, after we go through our usual, let's go look at pictures of the movie, which we're going to do. But first, how's everyone doing? Let's just switch back over here. Oh, I just realized I forgot something. We're going to be talking about this. Give me a second here while I do some magic. Trailer. Yes. Browse. Boom. Because we got to watch. Well, do we? Do we? Boom. Now I'm curious. Excellent, excellent. Like I need a bucket of popcorn. Just so you know, this isn't actually the movie. Let's turn the trailer down a little bit. Oh, wait, no. Holy crap on a cracker, it is the movie. We're not going to watch the whole movie. That would be crazy. I just realized. We're not going to watch the movie, guys. That is like a 2.5 hour long, well, 2 hour and 15 minute, which for us today is, it means it's like a blockbuster movie, which is what this was. You know, we're kind of used to movies that are like an hour and a half. Not the case with this one. It is longer. So, are you guys ready? Are you ready to get into this? Oh, wait, I got to just... There, got to mute that. Otherwise, I get the feedback and it distracts me. Let us begin with the slideshow, people. Now, this is one of the first, this is from 1954, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, fifth movie that Disney made, live action. Purely live action. I think we can consider it that. Lovely movie. Treasure, I'm going through in my head so that, of the list of movies. Treasure Island, 1950. Then Robin Hood, 1952. 1953 brought us Sword in the Rose and Rob Roy, Highland Rogue, all starring Richard Todd. And now, 1954, we get 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Fifth one. New cast. Unlike the previous three movies that basically shared, other than the leading lady, the same leading man, the same villain, the same supporting actor. This is a whole new kettle of fish. James... James Mason, Kirk Douglas, a couple other people, Paul Lucas, and Peter Lorre. So let me just close some things here. Yeah, this is the first movie that was also filmed in CinemaScope, or one of the first, I should say. As you can tell by this huge, long stream. Very pretty picture, don't you think? It's got like a whole bunch of curtains. So the beginning of the movie begins as most Disney must have loved this trope. Starting movies, a book. It opens. And you see the opening chapter of the book, and you can read it, and it tells you you're entering this literary world. In the year 1868, the shipping world was alarmed by rumors of an avenging monster on the loose. A series of strange events befell certain vessels cruising the great South Seas, and traveling along this nightmare sea lane dwindled to a few bold ships. So yeah, ships are disappearing, people. No one knows why. There's like two camps. Is it like a ship, a mystery ship? Is it a sea monster? It seems like a lot of people think it's the sea monster. There it is. There's the creature. We just see it under the water briefly with green glowing eyes. Portholes? We don't know. Well, we kind of do. You can tell from the beginning that it's metal. And it blows up a ship. It's sort of telling us, showing us, this is what's going on. Ships are being blown up by this thing. Back in the States. Where is this? Maine? Crowds like that guy there with the gray beard and the black hat, he's the sole survivor of one of the ships, and everyone's wanting to hear his tale, and it's kind of a scam. Anyway, but there down in the corner, or down here with the two fine little ladies on his arm, is Ned Land, the finest harpoonist this side of the Mississippi. Well, actually, in the book, he's Canadian, so represent. He is interested in the stories, but he's more interested in the ladies and the whaling. If it's a monster, cool. Meanwhile, this is Professor Ararax, a French intellectual researcher. They're like, hey, Professor, these are like newspapermen. What do you think of this thing, this creature? Could it be a creature? Well, gentlemen, there's so much we don't know about the ocean. There could be great creatures. And, he does what every person does, which is, hey, you want to know what my thoughts? I'm going to give you my thoughts. And newspaper people do what they do, and that's twist his words to make him sound like a crackpot. But, however, someone from the State Department is interested in him and says, hey, we are interested in getting you back. You want to get back to Paris, but you're having trouble finding a ship that'll take you, right? Because they're all going, we'll get you there, sir. But it might take 6 months because we'd like to send you on a ship that's hunting this great creature. If you can go along and provide some expertise and, your research and your big brain. Oh, no. Oh, no, sir. It looks like my webcam froze. So let's begin. Let's turn this off. Webcam, I hate you. Why does it not work? Why does it not work? Let's try this again here. Video capture device. Yeah, still frozen. Well, we'll continue. So, anyway. The guys come. We'll get you there. So he says, sure, why not? I'm game. Let's do it. So off they go on the ship. And guess who's on there with them? Why, it's the good old Ned Land, the harpoonist. He's eager to get the bounty on this beautiful beast. So he's sharpening his harpoon, but they're cruising around for weeks, and the weeks turn into months and nothing. And the captain's just lame. We're not interested in this anymore. I've discharged my duty. I don't believe in it. There's a monster at all. We're going home. Sorry, guys. I'm turning my ship around. Everyone's a little disappointed. Probably not the crew. They're like, we've been out at sea for a long time. I miss my wife. I miss my lady. A little depressed. But of course, good Ned Land, he takes out his little guitar and he sings them a song about having a whale of a tale and all the fine ladies he's met. And of course, this is like the one song that made it into Disney albums, Disney records, Disney CDs. And that I was singing at the beginning of the show. Got a whale of a tale to tell you lads, a whale of a tale or two, about the flapping fish and the girls I've loved on nights like this with the moon above. Whale of a tale and it's all true, I swear by my tattoo. And everyone cheers up, and they all, of course, can clap along with him. But then suddenly, everyone, like the person up in the crow's nest, sees something, and everyone rushes out to the side. What's going on? What do you see? Why, they see something in the darkness with green, glowing eyes. And they're like, it's the beast! It's the beast! A beast that will take your children, make off with them in the night. We're not safe until its head is mounted on my wall. We're not safe until he's dead. He'll come stalking us at night, come to sacrifice our children to his monstrous appetite. Not the Beauty and the Beast, actually, guys. This is a different kind of beast. So Ned Land grabs his harpoon with his manly pose, and oh, look, he's sweating under his arms. You can see it. The red is running. So obviously he's worked up a sweat. Throws the harpoon, doesn't do a thing. Shocker. And he actually falls into the water. And then, well, the ship collides with them. The beast. We don't want to give it away. Spoilers. The beast clashes with the boat, knocks Ned Land into the water, next the professor in there, and knocks his assistant. What is the assistant name? Conceal. I can never remember his name. Conceal. Anyway, his assistant. He jumps into the water after him. Professor! Because he's his apprentice, I guess. If my professor dies, how am I going to get apprentice to next? And the ship, though thankfully does not explode, but it's badly damaged and it hobbles off into the night. And the professor and Conceal find some debris and hold on to it for dear life. It's like, hopefully we will not die here at sea or being eaten by something. But what do they see in the dark? They see this strange metallic craft. And, strangely enough, the hatch is open, which is even stranger. So they call into it, and then they go in, and it's, oh my goodness, this is a marvel of technology. Where is this light coming from? It's not oil or gas. What's making it glow? Spoiler alert, nuclear power. Electricity. So, there we have it. Meanwhile, Ned, who fell in, is also on the upside-down boat, and he's like, hey, let me come aboard. Sure, why not? So they go in, and they explore the ship. They can't find any crew, and they find a porthole. And they look out, and there on the sea floor beneath them, which is really only like Nautilus is sitting on the surface of the water. So you guys saw this too. The bottom of the ocean literally must be 20 feet deep at this point. So not a very deep ocean. Kind of disappointing. But they have a funeral for, I guess, a dead crewman, and then they're heading back to the ship, and there, Captain Nemo, well, you don't know it's Captain Nemo at the time, but the leader looks up and sees them, and he's like, points at them. Look, guys, there's some people here. There's in the ship. And it doesn't really make much sense, actually. So they we got to get out of here. So they jump back in their boat and they're going to sail away. But these figures pop out of the water around them and start pulling out. And they're taken prisoner. There is the dashing Captain Nemo, played by James Mason. Who, yeah, very, I don't know, he has a very distinct look, I think. When you see him, it's like, yep, that's him all right. I don't know why. For some reason, it just has a unique look. Anyway, he takes them aboard and he's going to kill them. In fact, he tells to take Conseil and Ned Land out to side, but he's going to keep the professor. Professor, you can stay because you are a man of science, a man of the mind. You can choose to die with your friends, or you can stay here and I'll show you wonders you've never seen. And the professor says, I'll die with my friends. So they send him out and put him on the back, and then they say, let's submerge. So they watch him. Spoiler alert, they don't die. It was a test, people. It was a test that they passed. It's like, I wanted to see, Professor, if you would choose your life or your friends. What kind of man are you? And you chose correctly. So you're all allowed to stay. Yay! And he invites them to have a lovely dinner. And of course, everything is made from fish. Fish, eel, milk from squid, and kind of gross sounding things. I think that was the idea, is to make people go, ew. Incidentally, Ned eats the whole meal using just his knife. And Captain Nemo even comments on it, like, there are other utensils. But no, even his pudding, he eats with a knife. It's very strange. Reminds me of a poem that I shall now say to you. I eat my peas with honey. I've done it all my life. I know it sure sounds funny, but they don't fall off my knife. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it's from Winnie the Pooh, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So they're there. They're like, hey, do you want to see where we get all this food from and how we, live? And so Ned's like, sure, whatever, I guess. And Conseil, sure, yeah, don't have anything else to do. So they go down, and there's some traps with eggs in it, I guess, that things lay eggs in, or I don't know. And then they cut kelp. This is like their salad, and put it in a net. Oh, but then while they're out there, Ned Land and Conseil find an old sunken ship, and inside is a treasure chest, which Ned is very excited about. And they break it open, and inside is gold and jewels and such, which they're very excited about. And they're going to bring it back on board the Nautilus. But Captain Nemo stops them. Stupid captain. He says, we have all that we need. In fact, we use it for ballast, to weigh down the ship and keep it submerged. And so the sides of the ship is just compartments filled with jewels and diamonds and gold, and I guess diamonds are jewels, but I'm getting beside myself. See. So they what are we going to do? I don't know. Do we try to escape? I mean, he's not sure he's going to let us go. Oh, we're going to try and escape anyway. But, sorry, the professor, let me just actually, since you guys don't see me, let me just widen this picture even more. Boom. The professor's like, no, we could learn so much from this young man. Well, no, I'm kidding. We can learn so much. We should just be careful. We don't want to cross him. Of course, Ned Land doesn't care. It's like, hey, I'm going to steal some gold. So he pretends to get along and to be content, but he's going in and breaking gems out of stuff and hiding it in his person. Canadian things. Meanwhile, the captain shows the professor around the ship. Look at these pistons. Aren't they beautiful? These are beautiful pistons. Look at these lights. These are like beautiful lights. Why don't you look in these lights? They're beautiful. Oh, look out this window. There's more beautiful things. Isn't life under the sea amazing? Under the sea. Under the sea. Darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. Up on the shore they work all day. Under the sun they slave away. Long story short, the professor is sold. He wants to stay. Everything's so wonderful. And then Captain Nemo takes him to an island to sort of give him some background on himself. And there he sees slaves mining some stuff and then taking to a ship. It's like, look at that. That's why I hate humankind. That's why I've retreated to the sea. Slavery. Wars. They're harvesting like explosive minerals for bombs and gunpowder. It's like, this is horrible. Look at them. How they treat each other. It's awful. So they go back to the ship and basically he says, that ship is not going to leave. We're going to stop it. And sure enough, dusk falls and the ship comes out. So he's like going crazy. He's got like a maniacal look in his eyes. Well, he doesn't actually do the laughing thing. But he does seem very excited. And he runs into the ship and he kind of runs underneath it. So he destroys the hull and the ship sinks. See, you can't really see it very well. It's a dark picture. But trust me, he's sinking it. And the professor's like, you hypocrite. You talk about man's inhumanity to man, and you just sunk a ship full of those sailors. You're a warmonger too. It's like, hey, I do these things because I was one of those slaves too. I escaped along with many of my crew here. They captured me not to mine, but because of my knowledge. They wanted to know how to make my propulsion system, to make this ship. They tortured me to get the information, and when I wouldn't give it, they tortured my wife and son until they died. So, he's got like a revenge thing going. Professor kind of understands now. Meanwhile, these two are like, no, we gotta escape. The captain's gone crazy. And the professor, he's not gonna be a help. We gotta get out ourselves. Of course, Conseil, it's like, we've gotta save the professor too. We're not gonna leave him here. So, they gotta find out where they are, they gotta get help. So, while the crew is outside, while they ran into the ship to sink it, they did a little bit of damage to the ship. The propeller is stuck. So they're out on the ocean floor fixing it. And while they're down on the ocean floor, good old Ned and Conseil are like looking at the map and they're doing calculations. And this is where they're talking about going. This is where he was wanting to go. I think it was called Vulcania. What a horrible name, Vulcania. So they're going to head there. But Ned, I forgot a picture for this. But Ned, he once he knows the latitude and longitude of it, he drinks a whole bunch of specimen bottles full of fish. Like he gets rid of the fish, obviously, but they're being preserved in alcohol. So he drinks a whole bunch of alcohol, uses the bottles to send out messages with the coordinates. Like, they're taking us to Vulcania, this island here. It's full of mysterious stuff. Please help us. So anyway, they begin their journey there. And unfortunately, they get caught on some rocks. I'm not sure if the wheelman was drunk or something himself. They didn't know what they were doing, but they got stuck. So it's like, well, we're stuck here. We're close to an island. Tide will come at night, and it'll lift us off the rocks, and we'll be fine. Ned's like, hey, I'll go on the island, look around, maybe get some food. So like, sure, whatever. You can't go anywhere. Why not? And of course, when they get to the island, Ned's like, I want to escape. I'm going to go. Consol's like, I can't leave the professor, but, I wouldn't make it through the jungle anyway. I wish you well. So Ned heads off. Consol heads back to the boat to go back to the Nautilus. Ned heads off. But of course, who does he run into? Cannibals. Cannibals are everywhere, unfortunately. And they're they're hungry. So they chase them. It's very kind of reminiscent of the Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm trying to remember which one. Is it Davy Jones? No. Dead Man's Chest? I can't remember. I think it's Dead Man's Chest. Regardless, there's a scene Ned's running along the beach. They chase him. They jump into their canoes and they head off into the Nautilus. And Ned's like, shut the gate, shut the door. They're going to come and they're going to get us. And meanwhile, the captain just seems very nonchalant about the whole thing. And you know why? Because the hull is electrified. He turns a little switch and he begins shocking. Fun little fact. This guy right here, I don't know his name or anything, but if you watch the movie, because you'll see that one of the guys, I think it's him, has a wedding ring on. So apparently this cannibalistic tribe has wedding rings. So, be interesting. I wonder who he is. I wonder who the actor of this is. And I'm sure he's probably dead now, but be interesting if anyone out here knows of his kids or grandkids. I'm sure if he was in this movie, they would be talking about it. Like, hey, that's Grandpa. I think it'd be funny. I think if you look at the scene, it seems like some of the natives are also white people. Maybe they were short-handed that day, but it looks like there's just some maybe slightly tanned people. They hop off the ship and they flee, and everyone's celebrating, but then they start getting attacked. Cannons. A ship has found them, so and of course they're stuck on the reef, and they're kind of like, "Oh my goodness, oh no, we're defenseless, we can't move." They move. They are fortunate in that they are knocked free in a sense, or they back up, and they escape. However, in the process, the ship is damaged, and the engine stops working, and they sink. They sink deeper than they've ever sunk before. But they get it fixed, and they start heading back to the surface. But you know what happens? There you go. The big giant squid from the poster. Now, first thing, the squid is chasing them. Notice anything weird about it? I will tell you what's weird about it. The squid is facing the wrong way. It's going backwards, which is really weird. It'd be like if you were chasing somebody, but your back was to them, and you were looking away from them. Apparently, squids and octopus, you've seen them in aquariums, they move with their head forward, not their tentacles. The tentacles trail behind. So I'm thinking maybe we can just give it some creative license. Maybe the squid is really close to the Nautilus. So it's sort of turned around and is extending its tentacles to grab. That's sort of the best. Let's be generous in our interpretation, people. And of course, the squid attacks. This is like the famous scene from the trailer, from the posters, from the book covers. The whole crew, now that they've surfaced and the squid is attached to the hull and the electricity doesn't work, they open the hatch and go out to attack it and hack it and kill it and do whatever they need to do to get it off. Now, this, interestingly enough, is not the first time they shot this scene. They had to reshoot it. And I can see why. In the first scene the first take that they did of this, before they had to go back later and reshoot the whole thing, it took place in the day on a calm ocean. So there was no storm. It was a blue sky, and the squid was just attacking. But because they didn't have the waves and the dark sky and the rocking and the water, apparently you could see all the wires and all the things used to make it move. Or at least it was very difficult to hide it all. So they couldn't, so it looked pretty bad. So they had to round up everybody and they reshot the scene later. And it might have cost a little bit more money. I think they say the movie ended up costing $9 million, which in today's cash would probably be about $95 million to shoot this movie, which is not a small sum, but in terms of, the hundreds of millions of dollars used on Marvel movies, it doesn't seem that much. Anyway, Ned, incidentally, because of Ned's crazy behavior, like trying to escape on the island, he was thrown into the brig on the Nautilus. And during this whole scene with the squid, he's still locked, but he manages to break the glass and open the door. And it's a good thing he does because, when you're fighting a huge sea monster, who would it be good to have? The best harpoonist in the world. So he grabs his harpoon and he shoots it in the eye and kills it. But of course, it's still got its tentacles wrapped around Captain Nemo. So he dives into the water to free him. Incidentally, in the movie, a continuity error, he pulls the knife and then dives into the water, and then he gets to Captain Nemo under the water and pulls his knife out again. So make of that what you will. Point being, he saves Captain Nemo. Captain Nemo is actually like, thank you. You were very kind. I was going to kill you, but now I think I am going to let you live, and maybe humanity is not doomed. But they still are heading to Volcania, not knowing that a certain douche nozzle, Ned, has sent out all those bottles with the latitude and longitude of the island. Volcania, by the way, because I forgot to mention it before, is where they built the Nautilus. It's sort of the workshops and all the engineering plans. It's got a lot of knowledge. And he's, anyway, but Captain Nemo's feeling kind of generous. It's like, maybe you can be my emissary. I could share this knowledge with the world instead of keeping it to myself. Do you think the world is ready? But they get to the island and there's a whole bunch of ships there. Like, oh no, they're going to get my knowledge that I was going to freely share with them earlier, but now I want to destroy it. They knew that this might happen, so they had put a whole bunch of bombs around the workshops. So they get into the lagoon. They go through a tunnel under the island. They pull up into the lagoon in the middle, and while Captain Nemo goes aboard to set the fuses for the bombs, Ned Lander's like, hey guys, stop shooting. I'm the one who sent you the bottles. Don't kill us. But they keep shooting. They come pouring over the lip of the volcano, the extinct volcano, shooting, and yeah, it just seems like they're a little gun happy. You'd think that they would maybe just approach, because none of the crew on the Nautilus ever shoot at them. So in a sense, they're being aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. And sadly, after he sets the bombs, like the timer, and he goes back to the Nautilus, he's just heading down the stairs when, he gets shot in the back. It's like, we got to get out of here. So dazed and bleeding and near death, he steers the Nautilus out back through the tunnel into the open ocean. And then the crew gathers round and it's like, we're going to take the Nautilus down to her final resting place. As I die, so shall the Nautilus. And the crew's completely okay with this, apparently. Frankly, I find this probably one of the worst ways to die. Burning alive would be the worst. But drowning, in my mind, would be the second worst. I'm not sure if it's painful to put out your last gasp of air and suck in water. into your lungs. I imagine it'd be painful, but also just the anticipation, knowing that you're trapped in your room. I suppose if their rooms are airtight, which they're not, because if you look at the doors when you see Ned and Conceal's quarters, they're like slats in the door on them. So I don't think the rooms seal. So these guys are going to end up drowning. Suffocating, I guess, as air runs out could be a better way to go. Regardless, they're all okay with dying. That doesn't seem cool. Let's go, everyone to their quarters. What about us? We don't want to die. That's what Ned says in Conceal. And even the professor's kind of, I'm not ready. But nope, they're all going to die. They all have to go, and they forcibly remove them all down to their quarters. Thankfully, Ned, being the manly man he is, as he gets close to the quarters, he manages to subdue his guards and punch them and kick them, and then he runs back up and surfaces the sub. I mean, he's a harpoonist. He's not a sailor, but I'm assuming he's been watching what they do. So he knows how to operate the sub now. So he pushes this button and hits this lever and turns this wheel, and up she goes. What? Am I missing? I'm missing a picture. I'm missing many pictures. Now I'm confused. Something is strange indeed. Anyway, there you go. That is the movie. Now, I had pictures of the cast, and I have no idea why that is not popping up. Like, curious. Now, let me just see if I can fix this issue. I want to see if I can find it. No, it's not there. Okay. Yeah, this is weird. I'm sorry, guys. I have no idea. Well, let me just see if I can add another one. Slideshow. Try another one. No. Pause when not visible. Nope. Let's add a directory. See? Yeah, it's the same thing. That is messed up, people. I have the pictures in it. It's there. So, I don't know why it's being all poopity poop. So, there's another option we can do, guys. We're going to try one more thing. I'm going to try and add these manually. He pushes this one and this one. Okay. Okay. And once again. This is utterly strange, people. I'm sorry. I really want to have this work. So let's see if I can do it. Oh, ha, 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 ha. Now it's working. Okay, let's go back and do this again, people. Except now it's on automatic, which I don't like. So I'm going to have to do properties again. Don't pause manual. Okay. Okay. Ned surfaces the sub. But he needs to get the other guys out, right? You can't leave Console and the professor. I'm sorry it took so long, guys, to fix this. He goes down, he fights the first mate, he knocks him out. He grabs his buddies from the surface. It's like, we got to get out of here. So they go, and the professor's like, I can't leave. I need my notes, my journals that I made during this whole trip. It's priceless information. But of course, Ned Land's like, no, we got to get out of here. So he punches the professor in the face, knocks him out cold, hoists him over his shoulder, carries him out. Throws him in the boat that's attached to the Nautilus. And then off they sail. Meanwhile, the island that they're just beside with all the bombs finally goes off. A bigger explosion than has ever been seen or known in the world. I imagine it destroyed all the ships that were there. And in fact, it destroys the Nautilus too, in a sense. It shatters glass and rocks it back and forth, and she sinks. There she goes, beneath the waves. Like, sorry, Professor, that I had to clock you. It's like, well, maybe it was for the best. Maybe the world's not ready for Captain Nemo. And then the end. Bum, bum, bum. So, lovely, lovely movie. Very famous. And let's begin with the star, Kirk Douglas. The guy's a living legend. He's the father of Michael Douglas, the husband of Katrina Zeta-Jones. Beautiful. And you might know him as Dr. Pym from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's Michael Douglas, not Kirk Douglas. He's like had a crazy youth. I'm not sure if you guys ever, but like, I mean, the fact he was 104 when he died. So, one, very impressive. Lots of movies. He played opposite Lauren Bacall, beautiful lady. He established Burna Productions and produced Paths of Glory, which was anti-war film, I guess popular, but Spartacus that you guys probably, everyone's heard. I am Spartacus. No, I am Spartacus, which he did with director Stanley Kubrick. So crazy. Man. He starred in the Broadway play One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which the story he purchased and gave to his son, who turned it into an Oscar-winning film. He's 3 Academy Award nominations, lived a long time. Oh my goodness, yes. One thing, I mean, yeah, he grew up with 6 sisters. So poor family, six sisters, had to get out. Loved acting and was good at it. So he used his gumption and he got, and this is what I find very kind of crazy. Lauren Bacall, beautiful lady. I think she's in the photo. If you sit her right. She's like one of the most beautiful women from Hollywood. And she says that she had a wild crush on Kirk and dated casually, which is like, she really wanted to marry this guy. But she said, Kirk did not really pursue me. He was friendly and sweet, enjoyed my company, but I was clearly too young for him. And how much younger was she? 8 years. That's it. So if he was like 28, she'd have been 20. That's it. But I guess it was a problem for him. I don't know. But Lauren Bacall, people. Anyway, he was in the army. He did lots of movies. He was very successful. Like, I don't even know where to start. So I'm probably not going to start. Let's just say that he, he was in a lot of stuff. And that's about it. Let's move on to the next lovely person. James Mason. Captain Nemo. Stars Born. Fairly famous movie. He was in North by Northwest. Yeah. Also, it was Journey to the Center of the Earth, The Boys from Brazil, Heaven Can Wait. So some of these movies I've recognized, and he's been quite busy. I'm trying to remember where. Let me just see. 1935, his first role. Last role, 1985. So he acted in things for 50 years. That's pretty impressive, I must say. But regardless, he's been in some good movies, long career. He tried to get out of the war. He registered as a conscientious objector, but the government didn't say, no, screw that. You have to go fight. We'll even give you a non-combat role, like a medic or something. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. But then eventually the government just gave all actors a waiver, because they wanted to keep the morale up or something. So he didn't have to go fight. But anyway, I need to go and watch more of his stuff, I think. Then we have this guy, Paul Lucas. He was in a fair amount of movies, 1920 to 1970, also 50 years. So I'm trying to see if there's anything that jumps out at me in terms of, I watched that. But other than 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, nothing's jumping out at me. So, sorry, man, you get very little. Now, but it's weird because Concealed, so this was Professor Arax. This is Concealed. He, minor role, but he's been in a lot of films. He's kind of the villainy guy. Maltese Falcon, Casablanca. Have you guys ever heard of those films? Peter Lorre has been in a lot of stuff as the sinister fauna. And he acted for a long time as well. Let me just see. Oh, it doesn't really list. Well, I guess 1929, first role. 1964, last role. So 35 years. So not quite 50, but he was very busy. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that jumps out at me in terms of Mr. Oh, no, I don't really know Mr. Moto. Mr. Moto, he was Mr. Moto, but he was one of those ones where it's a white person playing an Asian. So, a little off. Around the World in 80 Days as Japanese steward. Man, he really hit that Asian role, even though he's Jewish. But apparently, people loved him. But let me just, where was there something that was interesting here? Yes. His daughter, Katrine. His daughter made headlines after serial killer Kenneth Bianchi confessed to police investigators that he and his cousin and fellow hillside strangler, posing as undercover police officers, had stopped her in 1977 with the intent of abduction and murder. So they pulled her over. They were going to take her and kill her. But they let her go on learning that she was the daughter of Peter Lorre. I guess they were fans or something. So it was only after that they were caught and arrested that she realized who she had met when they stopped her. And anyway, she died. His daughter died in 1985. But I'm trying to think. He was inducted. Okay, this is another thing I didn't know. The Grand Order of Water Rats is the oldest theatrical fraternity. So he was inducted in 1942 into that. So this was like a decade before even 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But this fraternity was organized in 1889. So this thing's like almost 130 years old, and he's a member. So kudos to you, good sir. Kudos to you. So, yeah, good movie. I mean, there's a couple things that we can still talk about that I'm not sure anyone... Oh, wait, yeah, I forgot. He supposedly was the inspiration for this character in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can't remember the character's name because he's just so creepy. But they wanted him to play that role. Or they built that role with his kind of personality in mind. Kind of crazy. Are we back to the beginning? Yes, we are. So let's shut that off. Let's go back. Let's go back. Boom. Boom. And poster. Let's get rid of the poster. Because apparently my camera is still stuck. Look at me. I'm still stuck. I can't get out. Anyway, but we'll stop there. So just to sum up, they say that this was a very successful movie. Now, why is it? Oh, I guess that was because a very successful movie. But all I could find was that it made $8 million in 1954. But the film cost $9 million to make, so it lost money. So I don't know why they said it was successful. I mean, critical success, yes. But was this maybe just the North American box office or just the American box office? And when you factored in the tiny Canadian box office in Europe, that it did a lot better? I don't know. All I know is it just seemed like, hey, box office total $8 million, cost $9 million to make. That would seem to me to not be a success. But what else do we got? One more little piece of information to share is that 20,000 Leagues is 72,000 nautical miles. So when you hear this movie, you think that they're talking about that they went that far under the water. But that's not true. It's impossible to go 72,000 nautical miles under the water. It would be through the planet out to the other side and into space. It's just talking about the length of the journey. They traveled 72,000 miles under the water. Just heads up in case you were wondering. Yes, 3.452 nautical miles is a league. So there you go. And that's it. That's the end of the live stream. I'm sorry the webcam broke. I don't know how to reset it. I don't know why it's not working, but it's giving me trouble lately. So I'm going to have to figure things out, maybe switch to a different camera because, I mean, let's face it, you guys come to watch my face and not anything I talk about. I'm just a beautiful person. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. We will sum this up. We will see you next week. The next movie, I believe, is The Littlest Outlaw, which I've never seen before. In fact, I've never heard of. Just like, I've heard of Robin Hood and His Merry Men, but I've never heard of The Sword and the Rose and Rob Roy and the Highland Rogue. So this is another opportunity for me and for you to see a movie that you guys have never seen before. Hopefully, you will take up the challenge and watch this. And join me next week when we talk about it. I'm hoping it's Tuesday or Wednesday, but I will try and let people know when it's happening. And in the meantime, enjoy yourself. Find some Disney love, something from Disney that gives you joy. And just embrace it this weekend. Have a good weekend, everyone. I will see you next week. Love you all. Bye.